Hello, 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 and welcome back to Chopping It Up. I am your host, Lucas Parent. We'll be joined by Jaden Torres later in the episode, but for now, let's get right into our opening monologue. So, the in-season tournament is set for the NBA. I'm very excited. I wasn't sure how it was going to work originally, but the NBA has done great work to promote it, and I like the new courts. I like the new jerseys. It feels good. It's a great product all around, and I can't wait to see how this plays out. The championship, I believe, is next weekend. It's going to be really fun. So the bracket, first round, 8 teams made it to this round. Lakers facing the Suns. Kings will be dueling against the Pelicans. Winners of those games will play each other. On the Eastern Conference, we have Bucks, Knicks, and Pacers, Celtics. Now, personally, I did my picks for this, and I'm taking the Celtics to win it all over the Phoenix Suns. I think it's a safe bet. The Suns, although they're the 4 seed, I think they could beat the Lakers easily, and I think they probably have the edge over the Pelicans and Kings. Pelicans probably would put up more of a fight, I feel like, even though the Kings are a better team, but I like the Suns to come out of the West, and Celtics, I just don't think it's going to be close, to be honest. The Bucks can't play defense, really. Knicks, Celtics have beaten them before. They're good at beating them. Pacers, they just smacked them by about 50 points. I know Halliburton was out, one of the greatest offensive players in the game today. But I'm just going to say the Celtics are going to beat the Suns. Pistons are a cause for concern. They're 2-16, only 2-win team in the league. They do have a couple tradable assets like Bogdanovich and, Killian Hayes. I don't know who would really want to trade picks for Killian Hayes, but he can be traded. Stuff like that. Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, maybe. That is concerning to me. They just signed Monty Williams to a huge deal, and it doesn't look like it's worth it thus far. Last thing, we have a very short monologue today, so I saw this on the radio. I just thought I'd give it my opinion. Top 10 defenders in the league history. This is my list. I am not really going to go into detail that much, but just some thought. 10, I had Scottie Pippen. 9, Draymond Green. 8, Dikembe Mutombo. 7, Tim Duncan. 6, Gary Payton. 5, Ben Wallace. And now we got the top 4, I feel like are in a tier of their own almost. 4, I've got Kevin Garnett. This is a guy, slid his feet like no other. He could move around. One of the most mobile big men of his era. Just a feared defender in every aspect of the game. 3, I have the Worm, Dennis Rodman. 7-time rebound champion consecutively, and these are his numbers from that. 18.7, 18.3, 17.3, 16.8, 14.9, 16.1, 15. Those are not his point totals. Those are his rebound per game totals. That's almost unheard of in today's league. I believe Andre Drummond was averaging like 14 a couple years ago, but today the leader is like 13. Another interesting thing about Rodman, he played 12 games in his final season with Dallas, and he averaged over 14 rebounds a game. That's just tenacity on the boards, and there's iconic images of him going for loose balls. He just represents effort on a court, and I'm having him as the 3rd best defender of all time because defense is all about effort. Number 2, I have Bill Russell. Not much to say about him. Best defender in the NBA of his era. Not really. They didn't have stats for defense back then, but you got to just go based off the stories that were told about him around that time from all the professionals that played against him. He was just a consummate professional and one of the best defensive players our league has ever seen based on what I've heard. Obviously, I was not born in the 1960s. Last player, I believe, the best defensive player of all time, Hakeem Olajuwon. This guy was different. 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time blocks champ. These are his stocks. So stocks are not a huge, it's steals plus blocks is what stocks are. 1989, he averaged 6. 90, he averaged 6.7. 91, he averaged 6.1. 92, he also averaged 6.1. 93, he averaged 6. Just put that into perspective. Let's say 6 stocks a game. That means he's averaging at least 6 steals plus blocks a game. That's unheard of. So, yeah, he's number 1 on my defensive player list all time. One of my favorite players all time. Just love the little dream shake. And yeah, so that's all we have for the NBA monologue today. We're going to be joined by JT very shortly. And just one thing. I kind of hinted at this last episode, but we have a new podcast out now. It's coming out Fridays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Music podcast. It's called Studio Session. Fan favorite Catherine Kilsey is on it. She's hosting. I'm co-hosting. We're talking about music. First episode, we talked about Currents by Tame Impala. We already got it done. It was a great episode, about 25 minutes, and all sorts of stuff. We also went down our top 5 songs of all time. So it's a banger of an episode, a real heater, a hoot and a holler, if you will. So be sure to check that out. Go support Catherine's new podcast. And yeah, thank you for listening to this segment, and we will be joined by JT very, very shortly.
Welcome back, everyone, to the JTLP pod. It's just strictly fantasy football, and I'm going to get right into it. So, Debo was hurt for a couple weeks ago. He's on the 49ers. He's one of the top wide receivers in the league, I personally think, but that's just me being a biased 49ers fan. His last couple of games, he's been progressing in targets, and he's also been rushing. But, this week is a big week for the 49ers. They've had this game circled on their calendar for months, ever since they lost that NFC game to the Eagles. We lost Brock Purdy. He tore something in his elbow. And then the backup Johnson, that guy, I don't know what happened to him. I believe he had a concussion. At one point, we had our running back, Christian McCaffrey, being the quarterback. It was brutal. It was brutal to watch. I thought we were going to win the Super Bowl last year. But Debo, like I said, he has this game circled out on his calendar, and he's gonna go nuts. Everyone's going to go nuts. Everyone on the 49ers is a must start. I do not care. We're putting up 80 points. Everyone's getting at least 4 touchdowns, and I'm starting Debo in every league. And then we're going to go with Derrick Henry. I just feel like this is going to be a slow-paced game. They're facing the Colts. It honestly depends on how Gardner Minshew plays. He either plays like a S-tier quarterback or he plays like a D-tier quarterback. I feel like it just really depends on how we see. And also, the Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor, so we're going to see a little bit difference within the run game. But before Jonathan Taylor came back, they actually had Zach Moss, and he was actually 3rd in the league in rushing yards. So they honestly might just give him the rock, and he might just go for a solid 30 rushing attempts that whole game. And I think it could be I think it's going to be a really good game for Derrick Henry. And then for my last player of the week, I'm going to go with Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited himself, The Broncos, they're shocking everybody. They're on they have the highest win streak right now in the NFL. I believe is this right, Lucas? They're 6-5.
I think somewhere around there. Yeah.
So I believe they're 6-5, and they're facing the hot Texans right now. They're not so hot because they lost last week. So I do believe C.J. Stroud is gonna come. He's gonna come mad going into this Broncos game, and I just feel like it's gonna be a fast-paced game. I feel like C.J. Stroud is gonna go for over 300 yards, and I feel like Russell Wilson's he's gonna have to keep up. We're going to see a lot of Cortland Sutton. We're going to see a lot of Jerry Jeudy. And I also feel like not really Williams, but I feel like Samaje Perine is going to get he's going to be introduced a lot in this game. I feel like he's going to have more than 5 targets this game. And like I said, I feel like Russell Wilson's a really good must start. And that's all we got for this week. And I love you all, and thank you. Thank you very much.
See you guys. Have a good, safe weekend, and we'll catch you next week.